She's got friends to meet. Oh, Abban mashghool. The father's too busy. And before he realizes that child is 15, 16-year-old, and his role model is the local drug dealer. He sees this guy driving these big cars. And that's his role model. Why? Because you never gave that child a real substitute. You didn't tell the child about Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn al-Khattab. You didn't tell him about the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know, subhanallah, this is the state of the Muslims everywhere. Literally everywhere. I was in Pakistan recently. I was invited by one of the universities in Pakistan. And after I finished my talk at this university, one young guy came to me. School guy, doing his A-levels. He said to me, he said, Sheikh, can you please come to our school and give a talk? Because every year, when we finish our A-levels, then what happens is that we have a party. And in that party, they distribute alcohol. In Pakistan. So I said, listen, the professor's my host, speak to him. So he spoke to the professor. So the next morning, we got permission to go into this school. Now, to get into the school is very difficult. But because this young man's father was a very well-known surgeon in Karachi, he managed to get us in. A few weeks before us, IAERA were there. They tried to get into school. They couldn't get into the school. So this morning, the professor said, we've got into the school. So we went in there. MashaAllah, the lady who was a principal, she was a Cambridge graduate. English was excellent. She was on the phone, impeccable English. So she said, she spoke to him a while, and then she said, take the Maulana to the auditorium. I went into the auditorium. There was about 6, 7 guys sitting there. 6, 7 guys. So when I walked in, they looked at me, and a couple of them began to smirk. They said, they must have been thinking, we heard this guy's from England. He looks like he's from across the border, Afghanistan. So I went in, and then, subhanallah, the auditorium filled up. I swear, I have never seen, if we had 100% Muslim school in this England, you wouldn't see that state. I won't mention the name of the school. It is, you could say one of the elite schools in Pakistan. Elite schools in Pakistan. And they're filled up, and the boys and the girls are leaning on the boys all day. All of these people end up in Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge. And I looked at the state, and I thought, subhanallah. Out of the entire auditorium, between 200 to 300 people, only 2 girls had hijabs on. One guy had a beard, and that was the guy who called me. And the professor told me, Sheikh, these guys are, they belong to they are the daughters and the sons of the wazirs. Many of them may have never heard of an Islamic talk in their life. That is their state. And subhanAllah, Allah put a lot of things in my heart that day. But I asked him a question. And you need to ask yourself the same question. I said to him, and somebody told me before this talk, he said, Sheikh, don't mention Beckham, he's old, Messi nowadays. Yaya Toure and these guys. But I want to mention Beckham. I asked him, I said, tell me, how many of you can tell me the name of the foster sister of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In the audience in Pakistan made on La ilaha illallah. Yeah, and look, don't come out with the thing that, man, this guy's racist, I'm a Pakistani, yeah? This is what happened. Once I said in another country, I was in Canada, I cracked a joke about Pakistanis. I heard a voice in the background, he said, all the other speakers were Gujarati besides me. This guy, he said, you got nothing better to do besides speak about Pakistan? So I said, I'm a Pakistani. Yeah, so before you come to that conclusion, this guy's racist, I don't believe, my overriding identity is La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. I don't judge people from the qawm or the gown that they come from. Because Allah, when I go to my grave, is going to ask me about my actions. He's not going to ask me, did I come from Jillam? Or was I born in Birmingham? No, He's going to ask me about my actions. And if I am racist, then Allah is going to say that is haram. And Allah is going to ask me about that. So my duty is to join the ummah, not to divide the ummah. And this was a country which based on La ilaha illallah. I asked him, not one person could reply. I said, let me ask you another question. I said, tell me, how many of you here know, this is in Pakistan, every single joke I cracked, they were with me 100%. They understood every terminology I used. So how many of you can tell me the name of the children of Victoria and David Beckham. So now there's a few of them, they want to answer. You can tell by their body language, but they think, Maulana is going to batter us if we say it. So I said, don't be shy. I said, say it. Wallahi, a number of them put their hands up. So who is your role model? Who do you really aspire to? You say that the Prophet ﷺ is your role model and is your guide, but you've never read a book on the life of the Prophet ﷺ? You were never inspired enough to pick a book on the life of the Prophet ﷺ, the life of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the life of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, because with the tongue you can say all day long that this is my role model and that is my role model. For the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they only had one role model, and that was the Prophet ﷺ, and this is why they reached what they reached.